I was talented, but discipline changed everything. In the heart of Nairobi's Silicon Savannah, where the air hums with the pulse of fiber optic cables and ambition, lived Kenji. To everyone who knew him, Kenji was a wizard. While others labored over syntax and logic gates, code seemed to flow from Kenji's fingertips like water. He didn't just learn Python, he spoke it. He didn't just build apps, he birthed digital ecosystems before breakfast. By 18, he was the local legend, the boy who could solve in an hour what took a senior developer a week. He walked with the effortless stride of someone who believed the world was a door already unlocked for him. Success came fast and loud. Kenji won the regional code sprint 3 years in a row. He stood on stages, bathed in blue light, accepting glass trophies while the crowd cheered. He loved the rush of the win, but he hated the boring parts, the documentation, the bug testing, the repetitive maintenance. He believed his brilliance exempted him from the grind. Why spend hours polishing when the engine is already roaring? He would say, flashing a grin that suggested he knew a secret no one else did. He was the sprint king, unaware that life was a marathon. Then came the Innovation Hub residency, where the elite were gathered to build a national health platform. It was here Kenji met Ilani. She didn't have Kenji's flash. When they were given a prompt, Kenji would finish in 30 minutes and spend the rest of the day playing games or wandering the halls. Ilani, however, stayed glued to her desk. She wasn't the fastest, but she was the most consistent. Every morning at 8 a.m. she was there. Every afternoon at 5 p.m. she was still there, refining, testing, and organizing her work into neat, logical folders. As the months passed, the projects grew in complexity. The talent gap that Kenji relied on began to shrink. He started hitting walls he couldn't jump over with a clever trick. He would arrive late, rely on a burst of late-night inspiration, and then sleep through the morning. His code was brilliant but brittle. It broke under pressure because he lacked the patience to build a foundation. He began to feel a strange, cold prickle of anxiety. For the first time, his natural gift felt like a flickering candle in a rising wind. The final review for the national platform was the turning point. The judges didn't want flashy. They wanted functional. When Kenji presented his module, it crashed during the stress test. He laughed it off, trying to charm his way through the failure, but the judges weren't smiling. Then Ilani presented. Her work was seamless. It wasn't just good, it was robust. She had accounted for every edge case Kenji had ignored. She didn't just have an idea, she had a system. Kenji watched from the back of the room as his slower peer was offered the lead developer role. The weeks that followed were bitter. Kenji stayed in bed, blaming the judges, blaming the hardware, blaming the boring requirements. He felt like a fallen star. He had always been the best, and without that title, he didn't know who he was. One afternoon, he visited his uncle, a man who had spent 40 years carving intricate furniture from mahogany. Kenji vented his frustration, pacing the small workshop. His uncle listened in silence, his chisel moving with rhythmic precision, shaving away tiny curls of wood. "You think your mind is a finished palace, Kenji," his uncle said, finally looking up. "But a palace without a foundation is just a pile of expensive bricks. In our tradition, we have a saying, 'Wisdom is not in knowing, but in doing.' You know how to code, but you do not know how to work. You have relied on the rain to fill your well, while Ilani was busy digging a hole to the groundwater. One is a gift of the sky, the other is a choice of the hands." Kenji realized that talent had made him arrogant. It had made him believe that he didn't need a process. He remembered a phrase his Trek coach used to say, "Talent starts the race. Discipline finishes it." He had been starting 100 races and finishing none. He looked at Ilani not as a rival, but as a mirror showing him what he lacked. She didn't have a secret, she had a schedule. She didn't have magic, she had a method. The realization stung, but it also brought a strange sense of relief. If discipline was a skill, he could learn it. The transformation wasn't instant. It was a slow, painful rewiring of his life. Kenji started waking up at 6 a.m., not because he felt inspired, but because it was 6 a.m. He embraced the boring work. He spent hours on documentation. He practiced the same logic puzzles until they were muscle memory. There were days when he wanted to quit, when the old Kenji whispered that he was too good for this drudgery, but he kept going. He traded the high of the eureka moment for the steady satisfaction of a completed checklist. A year later, Kenji wasn't just the boy who could code, he was the man who could deliver. His new project, a decentralized agricultural marketplace, wasn't just brilliant, it was unbreakable. He no longer waited for the spark of motivation to strike. He had built an engine that ran regardless of how he felt. As he sat in his new office, looking at a stable, running system, he realized that talent was just the invitation to the party. Discipline was the work that kept the lights on. He turned to his screen, not with a flourish, but with a steady, practiced hand. What routine do you need more than motivation?